Hey everybody, it's your Uncle Bear. So, my day wasn't going crazy enough as it was. Alright, so, little backstory. So, last night, I'm 2 miles from my exit down in Laredo, and my check engine light comes on. And anyway, I go to where I normally park for the night, and I check it out, and I call my international dealer back home, and I say, hey, what's this code mean? So he shoots through the satellite into my truck, and he says, it's your number 2 injector. He said, your number 2 injector is having a timing issue. All right. So I got delivered today, and I got reloaded, and I got hold of a shop, and I go to the shop. I'm not going to say the name of the shop, but yeah, well, it's Rivera's Truck and Trailer Repair. And the only reason I'm saying it, the kid was really nice at work there. They don't have a building. It's a lean-to, and there's no bathroom, no driver's lounge, no building at all. It's just the lean-to. Anyway, so the kid told me, he says, what do you want me to do? I said, well, fix it. Something's wrong with the injectors. I said, I don't know if it's, they said it was a timing issue with the injector. I said, I don't know. I said, I Googled it and said there was like 4 things that it could be, including the wiring. So I said, I don't know. Anyway, he said, okay. He says, well, he said, I want to be up front with you. He said, if it's a wiring harness or if it's the injector itself, he said, if I have to replace it, he said, I'll go over to International, buy the part, and he said, I can put it on. He said, but they won't warranty it because they didn't put it on. He said, if you want warranty, and I went, well, it's like $900 for an injector, so yeah, I'm gonna want warranty. And he said, well, yeah, he said, I don't blame you there. He said, but I'm just letting you know up front, that they won't warranty it if I put it on. And I said, okay. I said, well, he said, I can run the diagnostics still. And I said, well, will they accept your diagnostics? I said, or will I have to pay them to do their own? He said, well, it depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Anyway, short story long, I told him, I said, you know what? I said, just take your machine off the data port. I said, I'm just gonna take it to International. I said, and I called them and I asked them, I said, so are you gonna warranty the parts if he puts them on? They said no. I said, okay. I said, are you gonna accept his diagnostic report? They said no. I'm like, well, why am I paying twice? So I told them, I said, just quit now. Well, anyway, they still charged me $118 an hour's labor for doing nothing. No printout, no nothing, And it's like, why are you people even here? I guess for the minor stuff that you wouldn't want warranted, if I need a wiper blade changed, I'll take it to them. But so anyway, so I send some guy in North Carolina, the money code for $118, and I'm sitting there waiting for him to get back to this guy, because he told the guy, he says, block him in so he can't leave, because they've had 2 guys this week leave, the guy said, the kid told me, and I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine why. You guys are so useful. Anyways, so I'm sitting there waiting, and I go to take a drink out of my, I got one of those Ozark Trail mugs, love it, But see the opening there? Yeah, I go to take a drink. I've got my iced Snapple in there. By the way, if you've had Mango Madness, it's fabulous. I love that shit. I like the Mango Madness, and I love the Fruit Punch is good, and so it's the Snapple Apple. Anyways, I digress. I go to take a drink. There's a fucking bee. There's a bee right, right on the opening there. So, I didn't think it stung me, but it did. It got me on the side of the tongue. I didn't realize it until later. Yeah, got stung by a goddamn bee just taking a drink while I'm waiting for this putz to, tell his guy, that he doesn't need to block me in. The kid didn't block me in. The guy told him to, but he said, I'm not gonna block you in. He said, you sent him the number. So, anyways, that's the day I'm having. How's your day going? Be safe out there.